All right, so this is just something that I saw yesterday, and I wanted to do a little bit of a deep dive. Obviously, disclosure here, polls, they're pretty much meaningless, but they do give kind of a general gauge on where the country is thinking when you look at Biden versus Trump, Biden versus DeSantis, Trump versus Kamala, approval rating for Biden, things like that. It's just a general gauge. And I wanted to do a video about DeSantis possibly losing support. I'm going to talk about that in a second. I think DeSantis for sure is staying in the race. He'd be dumb to drop out at this point, being in second place when Trump is facing all of the charges right now. That's really the only person standing in the way of DeSantis possibly getting the Republican nomination. But this pollster, John McLaughlin, comes out and says for the first time ever, Trump is leading the national popular vote. And it made me a little curious. I wanted to actually look up Trump versus Biden. And again, it is kind of ridiculous. It's kind of meaningless, but you can see this is Real Clear Politics, I would say, the best one to use. There are other ones out there that are also good when it comes to composite averages, but Real Clear Politics has the current spread, Biden plus zero point 0.8, which is just, if you're Trump, phenomenal news. Right now, when it comes to just the overall math in the United States, a Republican winning the popular vote would be surprising no matter what. They always reference, Biden won by 7 or 8 million votes, whatever it was. Maybe it was 9 million. Really, Biden won by about 40,000 votes based off of how the Electoral College works. And it's also funny, when you look at the 4 closest states in the 2020 election, there were 4 states decided by 1 point or less. Biden won every single one of those. So even the 2020 election, where Trump did get trounced in places like New York and California, which allowed Biden to run up the massive popular vote advantage, you can see now Biden's popular vote advantage down to plus zero point 0.8. And for comparison, you can see how Real Clear Politics did it in 2020. There was a bunch more data. Obviously, Trump versus Biden. The overall average at the end of it was 7.2, and then the final results were Biden plus 4.5. So they overestimated Biden by almost 3 points. So that's even more good news if you are Trump. And that tends to be what happens, with 2022 notwithstanding. The Republicans thought they were going to do a lot better in 2022, the midterms, the whole red wave thing. It didn't happen. I think the Roe v. Wade thing really screwed them up for the 2022 midterms. But either way, this is good news for Trump. It's not the end all be all, but people wonder, how is this happening? Trump is facing all these indictments. Everyone's saying he's a criminal. All the mainstream media, every other story is about him and his crimes, and he's facing years in jail, and he can't come back from this. How could he possibly be winning? Well, quite frankly, it's because Biden is just hated by pretty much everyone. Now, this is pretty remarkable. Going back to early 2021, Biden gets in office. All the liberals, a lot of independents, are very happy about this. Obviously, they voted for him. And you can see they gave Biden a long grace period. Biden's approval rating, February 15th, 2021, not even a month into the job, plus 19. Trump was not afforded this at all. Trump's approval rating, I believe, was immediately negative, which is very surprising for a new president. Trump was not an incumbent. He was just elected. You wonder, why was Trump's approval rating immediately negative? It's because there was just so much mainstream negative coverage about him when he went into the White House. But Biden's plus 19, and then you can see Biden versus Trump right now. When you take a look at Trump's tenure, 2017 to 2021, Biden is green. So Biden starts off a lot higher, but they are virtually identical. And you can see Trump going into his 4th year. He had a little bit of a tick up right before the pandemic, and then he got crushed during the pandemic. And really, that's not Trump's fault. If a pandemic happens where it shuts down the country, you're just not going to approve the president no matter what. Everyone's going to be in a terrible mood. If the country shuts down tomorrow because of something, Biden's approval rating is going to go even lower. That's just the reality of the situation dealing with something like that. But the overall point is that Biden was giving so much more of a grace period than Trump, plus 19 approval early on. It has gone completely sideways on Biden, and you really have to wonder, if you're the Democrats, how long can you let this go on? Because think about it, if Biden's approval rating stays -13, -14, -15, historically, you're not winning re-election. You're going to have to get your approval rating up. I don't know if they want some crazy event. Maybe they think that Ukraine's going to win, although I highly doubt that. The only way Ukraine can win the war against Russia is if Russia deems the fight not worth it because of NATO support and they back off and they try and do some type of peace treaty, or if NATO troops help Ukraine, which obviously would cause World War III. Otherwise, there's no way Ukraine can win. There's just simply way more Russian soldiers than there are Ukrainian soldiers, even if Ukraine does have a significant technology advantage, which they do because of NATO help. But either way, it's like the only way I can see Biden really upping his approval rating all that much. And this is more to do with Biden just not leading. I mean, we hear it time and time again. Obviously, Biden is not in control of the White House. It's completely ridiculous. So Americans feel, a lot of independent people right now feel like they're being played like a fiddle. And it's like the idea of going to the polls in 2024 and voting for Joe Biden or Donald Trump. You're not voting for Joe Biden. This is ridiculous. The guy can barely talk. Does anyone really think he's doing anything in terms of policy? But that's the whole story. Biden, Trump. Trump is performing well, even with all these indictments. And this is certainly just the beginning with it, where they're going to go after Trump. They're going to go after him. Will they get him to the point where he won't be able to run? I don't know. That leads us into this DeSantis story. According to the Daily Mail, a super PAC will now be backing Trump after they accused Ron DeSantis of making rookie shit mistakes. The super PAC was set up by a Republican strategist, John Thomas, who secured massive commitments from mega donors. Thomas said he began having second thoughts after DeSantis' Twitter Spaces announcement back in May. So it is tough for DeSantis. You can say the Twitter Spaces was dumb to announce your campaign. Ideally for DeSantis, Trump was most susceptible very early on. So the ideal time for DeSantis to announce he was running was really in like February. But I don't think because he is the governor of Florida, he could have announced that early. So he had to wait. There was that time where everyone was like, DeSantis is running, he's going on a book tour, he's going to Europe, why won't he announce? I think it's because he wasn't allowed to announce. So he definitely should have announced earlier. And then, yes, the Twitter Spaces thing, as much as, Elon, he's a good dude. I mean, it was a complete bust. There's no denying that. I think you could, not that sunk his election. I mean, it's whatever. It's just an announcement. But it certainly did not help at all. And now people are saying, well, DeSantis is going to drop out. He's going to go for 2028. If you're DeSantis, there's just simply too much money you've invested into this election to drop out at this point when you're clearly in second place. Say what you want about him. You can see Trump averaging around 54% of the support. This is just basically like the popular general vote for the Republican primary. DeSantis sitting at around 13-14%. Recently, he seems to be doing a little bit better, 14-16. Vivek is clearly in third right now, around 7%. I know there's some Trump people that have the past few weeks said Vivek is in second place. And listen, I like Vivek a lot, but just based off of these general election polls, Vivek's not in second place, at least not right now. Nikki Haley, I would say, is going to be the one kind of establishment type contender. She's already up to fourth, and I'm guessing she's going to keep climbing. You've got Mike Pence. He'll be falling back. I'm guessing basically all of that Mike Pence support will be transferred to Nikki Haley, and then if Nikki Haley drops out, that support will be transferred to DeSantis. Not like it's going to really hurt Trump, considering Trump's already getting over half of the support as it is, so that's perfectly fine if you're Trump, even if DeSantis does get all of that support if Haley and Pence drop out. Chris Christie, I mean, people voting for Chris Christie, I don't think they really understand. Chris Christie has a lot of pro-Democrat points. He's in this race to get a desk job with CNN. So, I just don't know why people, Chris Christie over Tim Scott, I don't get that. Is it Democrats voting in these polls? I get maybe it is. And then Tim Scott, who's really fallen off recently, I'm guessing he'll be dropping out soon. It was just not a good debate performance. You've got to stand out. He wasn't able to do that. Hutchinson, you'd love to see drop out tomorrow. Burgum needs to drop out. Hurd needs to drop out. And then you do have a few others. You just had Francis Suarez drop out. Maybe Larry Elder is going to be dropping out. All those people need to be gone. And then I do think we'll at least, at the end of this next debate, maybe in early October, the field will be Trump, DeSantis, Vivek, Nikki Haley. I don't know what Pence is going to do. And Tim Scott will probably stay in. But I do think it's going to get wielded down to about 6 or 7 people, which should give DeSantis probably a slight bump, I would guess, just based off of other people being eliminated. And he probably will get more of the support. But the idea right now with DeSantis, I think you do have to concede that as long as Trump is good to go and good to run and good to be the nominee, and they don't completely bog him down with some crazy criminal charges and some crazy ultimatum where he could possibly go to jail if he doesn't back out of the, Republican primary, I don't see a way DeSantis beats Trump. But if that something happens to Trump, DeSantis would be the 1A or 1B option with Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, if all of that Trump vote, the other thing is, what does Trump do? Does he still run from jail? Does he endorse Vivek? I don't know what he would do, but I know Vivek would get a lot of that Trump support. So it is something interesting to look at. But if you're DeSantis, there's no way you're backing out of the race right now after all the money you've invested. Of course, there's going to be people that jump off of your bandwagon. I mean, just look at the data. You've gotten destroyed. There's no denying it, right? We understand that, but you're still in second place. And you're behind someone by a ton of points, but he's dealing with some legal issues right now. So DeSantis for sure is going to be remaining in this race, probably maybe the last man standing if we end up getting there. Although we are really looking ahead when it comes to that, because it's just so hard to predict. What else are they going to do to Trump? Because right now it's just not working. I mean, right now we're getting general election polls with Trump and Biden where if in terms of the popular vote, if Trump is tied or like -1 or -2, that's amazing news, when it comes to the general election and the electoral college. So we'll have to see. Biden has to raise his approval rating pretty significantly if he wants a chance, or the Democrats might just say, we're going to go with someone else, probably Gavin Newsom, and he'll be kicking off his campaign doing a debate with Ron DeSantis probably in November. What a strange thing that is. He's debating someone, and you don't see that happen all the time. So I do wonder if that was planned. I know Kamala Harris said she didn't like that Gavin Newsom was doing it. I just think at this point, Kamala Harris really has no say. I mean, she has such a low approval rating. They're obviously not going to choose her to be the candidate. I'm guessing she'll just stay on as the VP if Newsom is the pick. And then we've got Biden's press secretary. This is a good one. Quote, Joe Biden has done more to secure the border and to deal with this issue of immigration than anyone else. He really has. So, guys, we know this woman is just completely lying, but at a certain point, it's going to be a detriment. People are not dumb. They realize it. And even if this is your argument that Biden has done more than Trump, well then, according to you, Biden would be more racist than Trump. Because remember, one of the things the Democrats said back in 2016 when Trump said he wants to build the wall, that's racist, you're not letting people in, they're just trying to get a better way of life. And now this woman comes out and says Biden's doing more than anyone else, including Trump, to secure the wall and deal with immigration. They're just talking themselves to death and completely lying. And then, these stories, we've got another one. Kia and Hyundai helped enable a crime wave. They should pay for it. So yes, because Kia does not have the proper locks on their doors. Again, what is the argument here? With the way that they break in, they crack open your window. But more so blaming, Kia for this and not the policies in New York City, in Chicago, and these places. It's just a never-ending thing. They think the solution, it's like when you're fat and you eat ice cream every day, they think the solution to get skinnier we're not going to eat 1 pint of ice cream. We're going to eat 2 pints of ice cream. Maybe that'll make us skinny. No, you're just making it worse. So they keep electing people. They keep having a crime issue. They keep electing the same type of people, Democrats, because, you know, New York City, the inner cities, they're all Democratic. They don't enforce more police because they're all Democrats. And it continues to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And they've got to blame anyone else but the policy that is soft on crime. And now we get headlines like this. It is just remarkable here in America. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.